Hi, I'm Troidal Power, host of Troidal Power Presents the Power Playthroughs podcast with Troidal Power. It's an audio-only Let's Play podcast where I play video games and tell you about them. It's like Twitch for your ears. You can find Troidal Power Presents the Power Playthroughs podcast with Troidal Power on probablywork.com, geek2geekmedia.com, or you can look for me on Patreon to sponsor an episode. Troidal Power Presents the Power Playthroughs podcast with Troidal Power. Let's play video games.
Hey, Nick from Showboys here, and I want to invite you to become a member of the Showboys Discord. Our Discord is the one-stop shop for all things Showboys, from announcements to fun conversations, and of course, memes. Come get to know the Showboys staff and our growing community of pop culture fanatics. We have something for just about anyone.
Hey, Mike here from Showboys. We're excited to bring you Showboys Gaming, a YouTube channel created for you to enjoy our exclusive gaming content. Anything from live streams to gaming videos will be found here. Go subscribe now so you don't miss out on any Showboys gaming content.
Hi, my name is Siv, and I'm a proud partner of the Showboys stream team. I'm what you call a variety streamer. What that means is I play a bunch of different styles of games, from platformers and shooters to fighters and survival horror. We rarely play the same games twice, and it's normally a game I don't know anything about. What this means for you is fresh and interesting content, live on the regular. And if you're the kind of person who prefers to watch at their leisure, we have a YouTube channel where we upload content daily. I mean, with so many options, why haven't you joined the civilization yet?
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Showboys. My name's Mike, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friends, Nick and Chad. How are you guys doing tonight?
Fantastic. How are you?
Doing great.
I'm all right. I'm
a professional grouter. I hear.
powder, did some tiling over the weekend / throughout the week, and it sucks. I hate it. And we finished I finished grouting the wall. So that feels nice to get out of the way. Got a new hoodie in the mail today.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Check
I see
this
that, man.
out
I need
here.
one of those for sure.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Oh, look
This
at that.
is-
Looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it's
Top
you know,
notch.
it's one of those items you can get on our merch store. The classic pullover hoodie. It's nice though. It's nice and soft on the inside.
Good.
The graphic is, nice and feels like it's gonna last. Sometimes you never know when you get a shirt and you get like the weird print on it. You can tell sometimes when you feel it, you're like, oh, that's like 5 washes and it's gonna be
And it's
peeling
done,
off.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Just don't wash it.
Yeah, this feels like a good quality. I've ordered stuff off of Teespring before. I think my Dad Feels hoodie that I got from the Dad YouTube channel, I believe that was a Teespring hoodie, and that's still going strong. It's one of my favorite, most comfortable hoodies. Yeah, I decided to go with the gray one. There's quite a few options. I was torn between this light gray one and like the charcoal one. That one looked pretty nice, but I decided to go with
I
light
like
gray.
the light one. I like the light gray.
But yeah, man, I don't know. What are you guys up to? I know Chad was, watching something before he came down for the pod tonight.
I was. Big missed opportunity on our part, but it's fine because I got a little bit of notes. I got a little bit of notes, and then I had to rush down here and get everything set up.
Okay. Well, you want to talk about it at all? We're still waiting for one of our guests. So
So I only caught like the first maybe 45 minutes of the video game awards tonight. I think it might just be called the Game Awards. But it's becoming like a thing now. Like it's kind of reaching. So I can't remember the dude's name or even how to say it. Jeff Keighley, I think his name is. He's always wanted to have something that was like similar to the Oscars, but for video games. That's always been his goal.
Right.
Nice.
So I tell you, man, watching it today, they're getting close. They're getting pretty close. I mean, they had big name actors up on the stage and everything. So.
I mean, big name actors like the game,
Right? Yeah,
Old
definitely.
Henry Cavill.
He's probably the most notable in my mind. Old Henry there.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously they do video game announcements. I didn't write really any of that stuff down because they only did like 2 of them in the 45 minutes that I watched. But they did, or awards rather. But they did announce a couple of new games and ones that we'll probably want to talk about a little bit. The first one that popped up was. Of note, let me rephrase that, is Star Wars Eclipse, which is a new Star Wars game coming from Quantic Dream, who are the people that do Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, the kind of interactive style games. And
is it going to be that style?
I mean, there's zero chance it's not going to be that style, I would imagine.
That's going to be super interesting.
Yeah, it looks like it's maybe like the old Republic era. I don't know, dude. The trailer for it looked really, really, really interesting. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. As soon as I saw that, I was super pumped. I thought it was going to be maybe Amy Hennig's Star Wars game, the Uncharted creative director. But it turned out being Quantic Dream, which had been rumored for a while that they were working on a Star Wars game.
That's awesome.
So it was cool to see, and it's. I don't think they even put a release window on it, so who knows when it's coming? But it looks pretty.
The Star Wars season hype begins.
Yes,
it is upon us.
That's right. I mean, we were just talking earlier today, Nick, about the next companion series. We got to start kicking things in gear because it's happening soon.
Coming up, December's basically over.
Yeah, for sure. What's the next one? The Book of Boba Fett?
Yep.
As promised, 2021 It's releasing
By
on the
the-
like second to last day of the
The
year.
hair
Yeah.
on Boba's chin barely squeaked in there.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys check out the trailer for that Star Wars game because it
Definitely
looks
will do that.
interesting, and it's an interesting take on Star Wars, that kind of game style. So
What'd you say? Eclipse?
yeah, Star Wars Eclipse. Pop it
Is
up.
it
Can
gonna
you
be-
pop it up?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Is it about like the Super Star Destroyer, the Eclipse class? That thing was gnarly. If you guys ever
I
played
don't know.
Empire
In
at
the
War.
trailer, there is an actual solar eclipse going on in the background. So
Okay, fair. Ooh, Death Stars caused those. But the Eclipse Super Star Destroyer, it basically they put the Death Star laser on a capital ship. Obviously they did that in episode like 9, but they mounted it to like all the normal Star Destroyers. But this was like Darth Vader's Super Star Destroyer and it had a really sweet design, kind of like a arrowhead, obviously, but huge mounted laser on it.
Oh, that's cool.
All right,
Yeah, I
here
don't
we
see that
go.
anywhere in here, but
Is this it?
yes.
Okay.
Whoa.
So yeah, got a nice bubbly sun getting eclipsed on.
This dude reminds me of someone. That's kind of like reminds me of like 300.
Dave Batista.
Yeah, it's Dave Batista. And like
Yeah,
a Persian
Guardians
Dave
of the
Bautista.
Galaxy. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, space.
Whoa.
Ooh,
Asteroids.
space rocks. Ooh, planets. Doesn't look good. Man,
Damn near live
So-
action.
I know the
Yeah,
way
it
that they
looks
can
great.
make CG look is it's so good.
Yeah, that's one of Quantic Dream's kind of specialties are their graphics. Have always been really good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yoder.
there's all Yoder. Oh.
Like his little
I don't
cooling
know if
fan in
that's
his
supposed
chest.
to be. Yeah, I don't.
That's not Boo. This is like early New Republic or
Yeah,
the
that's
Republic.
it. Yeah, you might be right.
The old trade guild guys.
It's like Yoda's in it, so you know it's within like 500 years
Right.
of the the prequels. Well, there's Trade Federation ship. Interdastic.
Oh yeah, that's out. That's valid. I didn't even.
Some
Whole
of this-
lot of Dave Batistas.
Huh. It's a weird mashup of things.
Oh,
Whoa.
Voldemort's in this
Yeah,
game?
Voldemort.
Speaking of weird mashups.
Yeah. Crossover needs to come into effect. Alien Prometheus?
Goop,
Yeah, right.
got a goop monster.
This is Xerxes, dude. Remember?
Oh,
300.
yeah. That's right. Ooh.
I'm skeptical.
I am interested.
Yeah, I'm highly intrigued by it. I got to be honest. I don't think I've ever played a Quantic Dream game all the way through. I should have, because Heavy Rain is supposedly really good, and so is Detroit Become Human. They're just not necessarily my type of games. But slapping a Star Wars filter on that might change it for me.
The bit of
Yeah.
Detroit Become Human that BioSiv was streaming the other week. I mean, it looks
It's
pretty
It
sweet.
looks so cool.
It looks like
It
a
does.
chill game though, because it's not combat heavy. It's all kind of like decisions.
Yeah, I think they all are like pretty
Okay.
chill games.
Interesting.
Heavy Rain, I think, is like a serial killer story, so that's like really kind of right up my alley too. And I think there's a remaster of it, so maybe I'll play a couple of those games before this one comes out,
Yeah.
just to get in the rhythm of their games. So that's Star Wars Eclipse, and then they announced a Wonder Woman game. Never heard of the studio before. They didn't show off too terrible much, except a very short teaser. I went initially. They popped up Warner Brothers, and then DC. I was like, oh, it's a Batman game. I can't wait. And then it was Wonder Woman, so it kind of fizzled out for me personally. But
It's kind of like Batman.
Kind of.
Okay, I found it. It's a shorty.
Yeah.
45 seconds.
Call Wonder Woman a shorty.
Wow, dude. Warner
My
Bros.
daughter, a new threat comes to our
The
shores,
mascara.
and I must call you home.
Shiny bracers.
DC logo. Mike is so happy.
Flowing hair.
Unite old enemies. Forge new
I have to narrate
bonds.
this as best as I can for our audio
You are a
only
hero.
listeners. Wonder Woman
You
crest.
can be more.
Chin.
Wow, that's a short video.
Be
Yeah, it's super short.
Star on the headband.
you.
Lasso
Sonic the
of
Hedgehog
truth.
2.
That's it.
They use teaser very literally there. Oh, it's
Yes,
funny.
definitely. And he was like,
Zero game.
here's an announcement nobody had on their bingo board or whatever he said. I was like, I'm pretty sure maybe the studio didn't even have it on their bingo board. Like it looks like they made it 15 minutes before this.
They're like,
announcement, but
Where'd he get that?
yeah, right. Just throw a digital filter over a YouTube video, Wonder Woman, and we'll make a game out of it. So anyway, that's Wonder Woman. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there excited for it.
Yeah.
It's just not me.
Well, there isn't much to get excited about, you know. There's
Right.
like no
Yeah, it's-
details. I mean, you just saw CG Wonder Woman piece by piece. I mean, if you like Wonder Woman,
Yeah,
could be
I mean,
exciting. There's just not
maybe.
enough for me to have any feelings one way or the other yet.
Right. They did show off something I kind of skipped just because it's Xbox and I'm never going to play it, but it's Hellblade 2, which is a popular game that was on PlayStation. They showed off some gameplay. It looks fantastic. I'm not going to lie. It's not worth putting up on the screen, I would say, but it does look, the graphics on it are amazing. So I kind of breezed over that just because it was just a gameplay trailer of the game we already knew was coming. So
I downloaded the first one because I signed up for the free month trial of Game Pass on the computer.
Oh, yeah.
And I have it downloaded. I haven't opened it yet, but I've been intrigued by that game. When they announced it,
I kind of have been too.
Yeah. So it's on my list
yeah,
of things to
definitely.
play.
Yeah, it's probably on my list somewhere too. I don't know if it's a timed exclusive for Xbox or if it's legitimately a exclusive for Xbox. But I mean, the graphics look amazing. I'm not gonna lie. It's very cinematic looking. So the sequel, yeah, because the original game is on PS4. I know. So
yeah.
And then the announcement that I got the most excited for, obviously, was Alan Wake 2, which has been rumored for a while. So we'll watch the trailer and then we'll talk about it.
We all come to a story with hopes and expectations, looking for an answer. Sometimes it would be better to live with that hope without ever finding the story. This is not
So
the
much
story
rain.
we want it to be.
It's just perpetually raining in this world.
Will eat you alive.
Controller's raining at the beginning.
This story is a monster.
Yeah, it's JG.
Monsters wear many faces.
It's like a mashup between Jakey G and Bradley C.
So that's the
scary.
short little teaser for Alan Wake. They put a 2023 release date on it, which is a little ways out. Going to be a big year for me for 2023 because Spider-Man 2 is coming out and Alan Wake 2. They also said that they felt like it was the right time to come back to this series. I figured this was going to happen because they remastered they put the remaster of the original game out just a couple months ago. and he was in Control, one of Control's DLCs, pretty heavily. So I figured this was coming. I didn't think it was going to be this quick. I thought we were going to get Control 2 in between that, but we'll see. They said it is going to be the very first survival horror game from Remedy, and Remedy is really good at that kind of stuff. So for them to do a survival horror game it's common sense, really. So I'm excited. Nice. We'll see. I don't know. The streets kind of look like New York City, and that's where Control takes place. So I don't know if he's in New York City for some reason or what's going on. So I don't know. I can't wait. There's not much there, but
yeah, it looks cool. He was looking very John Wick-esque.
Yeah,
that is so funny. That's hilarious because when the trailer was up, I had the audio all the way down because I was doing my banners and I was trying to focus. And my son was like, John Wick? And I was like,
where?
It's like, I mean, maybe, but I don't think. And then the Alan Wake 2 thing popped up and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just missed that. I would have heard his voice and knew exactly who it was as soon as I heard him talking. But
yeah, it looks cool, man. I need to play the first one, which I bought for like $4 on Steam. Unfortunately, not the remaster. I bought the original one like a month before the remaster was announced, which made me real sad. And I need to finish Control like really bad.
Yeah, definitely.
At this point, I just need to start it over.
Probably because it's hard to go back into a game like that and try to mess around. Yeah. So that was the announcements that I got to see before we got on here, and then it doesn't look like there's anything too crazy that's been announced since then. A couple indie games, Cuphead, which is a really cool. Like I don't even know. Do you guys know what Cuphead is? It's like a 30s cartoon.
Yeah, dude, the animation is amazing. BioSiv
played it. Yeah,
just streamed that.
Yeah,
it's been on my wish list for a while.
So it's really fun. It's very difficult. I'm not gonna lie, especially if you play 2-player. Like we played it at the fire department a couple of times, a buddy and I, and it's difficult. Like it's excessively difficult. So a DLC is coming out for Cuphead.
Oh,
and
nice.
That seems to be anything of note as of right now.
Nice. Well, we'll have to cover the rest next week if anything else comes out that's worth digging into. But yeah, you're right. We should have done like a watch party or something. That would have been fun.
Yeah, it was almost perfect timing for us. So
yeah. Well, thanks for covering the things that you did. Appreciate it. That was fun. I forgot to shout out our patrons at the start, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Shout out to our top tier patrons, Tim B and Yusuf H. Thank you guys for your support every month. It's been a huge help. We love you for it, and very honored that you would give us your hard-earned money for what we do here. It's kind of shocking, but we appreciate it. If you would like to be a patron, you can go to patreon.com/showboyspodcast. We got 4 different tiers full of different perks and benefits and rewards for signing up to become a patron. Go check it out. Patreon.com/showboyspodcast. If you're able to, we would love to have you as a patron. But if you can't, that's okay too. Just subscribe, and thank you for listening. So we have a topic tonight. We were trying to kill some time for our 4th guest to arrive. And hopefully he will pop on whenever he's able to. But we thought it would be fun, with it being, a couple weeks from the new year, to go through and talk about our top 3 games of 2021 each. So there will be, 9 right now. If our guest makes it, there will be 12. And we'll do a little stipulation here. It's not games that came out in 2021. These are games that we played in 2021 that piqued our interest. So I'm excited. Unlike years in the past, I did actually play at least 3 games this year. So It's not just going to be League of Legends for me.
Yeah,
which is
right.
exciting. I don't even think I played League of Legends this year, which is kind of shocking in its own right. Though Arcane,
I'm into it.
Arcane almost pulled me back in. Though,
Oh
not gonna
no,
lie.
Needle's getting closer.
Dude. Just see Vi fighting with those huge gloves, and I'm like, I haven't played Vi in a while. Playing Vi would be so fun right now.
But you don't get any more Arcane out of League.
I know.
You just get more League out of Arcane. It's the
Yeah.
square and the rectangle thing, man. Don't do it.
So it's you're right. So it's funny because the video game awards actually opened up with Sting singing a song from Arcane. Does he have
Good
like a song he
Dude,
sang?
so good. Yeah.
So he opened. That's what
The
opened it was-
soundtrack is so good. There's only, I think, two songs that I don't really like on the entire album. The Sting song's really good. But I think my favorite is Playground, probably my favorite song off the album. I know Nick is a fan of
Misfit Toys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pusha T.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love his little
Ugh.
throat clear ad lib. It resonates with me,
Yeah.
as someone who chronically clears his throat.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you do have a problem.
I can get behind that. But yeah, so who wants to go first? We'll start with our number 3 game of the year, and we'll go in descending order. Or
Yes.
yeah, it would be
Correct.
ascending if we started at 1 and went to 3, but we're going
Correct.
from 3. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
do we want to start honorable mentions? Because I think you and I are the only two that have honorable mentions, correct?
We'll do this
Could
right
be,
before the
but
number
we're-
one.
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
really tease those number ones and hold
Okay.
out as long as possible for number ones. But hey, any of you out there watching in the chat right now, feel free to comment in with your favorite games of 2021. I'd love to know what you guys enjoyed playing this year. We did throw it out in our Discord, the Answer the Boys topic of the week. So I'm excited to get into some of those. But yeah, why don't we have Chad go first?
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Chad.
Yeah, so for my number 3, which is a little odd because it's a really old game. However, this was my first time getting to all 3 of them, and it's Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Oh.
So I
I
spent
know someone who's going to be very happy in our Discord to hear that.
Yeah, so I spent a good portion of my summer playing through these Mass Effect games. Like probably,
As
I
you
get on
should.
as I should, absolutely. But I get on kicks, right? We talk about it all the time.
Yes.
And Mass Effect came out just after Returnal. So Returnal is a space thing too. So I was like on a long space kick. But I mean, I can't believe I missed these games. It's always been like I've always kicked myself for missing these games because everybody talks about them, and rightfully so. I loved every single one of them. The Legendary Edition just gives it that kind of new coat of paint to it, and it allowed me to maybe experience it a little bit better than I would if I went back and played the older versions of it. But even the first game, man, like I thought it was awesome. Even now, I thought the gameplay in it was a little outdated, but not enough to ruin the experience.
To me, the first Mass Effect is like the first Uncharted in terms of how it plays, how it fits in comparison to the ones that come after it. Because when I went back and played the first Uncharted, it's very similar to how I felt when I played Mass Effect after 10 years of them being out.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good
The first
comparison for
Uncharted
sure.
was one of my favorite. I would love to. I like Chad. I've never played Mass Effect, so maybe picking up this Legendary Edition on Steam sometime might be in my future.
Yeah, I think it definitely should be because I think you would probably love these games, to be honest with you, just because of the way it's got everything that you probably love in a game. It's in space. It's got a very kind of almost Star Wars vibe to it. Star Wars and Star Trek had a baby, and then it took place
It's called
in
the
our
Expanse.
galaxy. Yeah, it's yes,
Expanse.
Yes, 100%. And that's when I blew through the Expanse was playing the Mass Effect games. That was the show I was watching during that.
Sidebar: how excited are you about tomorrow?
I'm so excited.
Season 6 premiere of The Expanse.
Wait, can I watch it at midnight, do you think? Because technically it's tomorrow and it comes out on streaming. Nah.
Yeah, it depends. Maybe, yeah.
Are
It
you
depends. I think
completely
some of
caught
those
up,
shows don't come out.
Chadwick?
I think I'm like on season 4,
Oh,
like the beginning of season 4.
oh,
So I am
right,
not
right-
caught up,
right
unfortunately.
here. Oh, you hurt me.
I know.
It's okay.
I
It's
really
okay.
enjoyed it. I loved every minute of it, to be honest with you.
I really, really want to get a Rocinante hoodie of some sort,
Yeah.
or like an
Yes.
MCRN hoodie. Man. Anyways,
But yeah, it definitely has
you
that.
enjoyed the Legendary Edition, huh?
Yes, yeah. So it definitely has that vibe, that kind of the Expanse vibe to it. It's just a cool universe that they built, and it's cool because you don't really ever see any kind of space operas take place in our universe. So it's cool from that. A lot of the lore that they build up is really, really cool in it. And then the gameplay, it was cool because I played all 3 back to back.
Yeah.
And the gameplay and everything just got progressively better as I was going, to the point where I was like kind of bummed that I was leaving the first game. But when I got to the second game, I was like, oh, okay. This is kind of better.
That's such a cool experience because I played them all like completely spaced out to the point where I remember when I played the second or third one, obviously I didn't have the same console anymore. I didn't have like the save file, so I just had to pick like the one I vaguely just remembered because you pick your profile as far as like where you left off in the other game.
Right. Yeah.
So I just felt like I was always kind of just starting arbitrarily into the next game. So it's so cool that you got to play them back to back.
Yeah, definitely. It was cool because I knew, I remembered what happened in the last game, whereas if I played it like you did, I might have forgot some of the things that happened.
Yeah.
And then the other cool thing that I loved about it, which seems to be a lost thing in games, is like the choices that carry over between games. There are some major characters that were killed off in the first game for me, and like everybody's like, oh, I love this guy so much. I was like, oh, he died in the first game for me. So,
Yeah.
I don't love him, but
Yeah, right.
yeah, I think the Legendary Edition is even if you've played the games before, I think it's worth picking up just to re-experience them because, I didn't play the original, so I don't know how big of an upgrade it is, but it felt like I was playing games that came out this year outside of the first one.
And you played that on PlayStation 5?
Yeah, PlayStation 5, yeah.
I'm definitely going to have to keep an eye on that for going on sale to get it as well. That's where I want to play it. I think definitely. I got 1 and 2 back when 3 came out, I think, on Steam. But like I always say, like that's just not a PC kind of game for me.
Right.
That's just like a chill on my couch with a controller in my hand kind of experience. So
yeah,
I'll have to definitely wait for that to go on sale. But also, Mass Effect, and this is why I think Mike would like it a lot, because I don't think he's ran into this as a mechanic, but like the Paragon thing.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd really enjoy that, Mike, where like your choices and affect your overall stature and like goodness or badness or however you fall, but also with every single character on your squad, like you have a relationship with, and you can either, like Chad said, like there's a guy he just did not like him, like you can just like treat him like crap and then eventually just like ditch him. And that completely alters really awesome. And that alters so much in the game, like your experience. So like all 3 of us would never play the same game.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah,
that's awesome. Like that sounds sweet.
Because when I finished the 3rd game, I loved it. So I remembered that the ending of Mass Effect 3 was like a huge thing back in the day. People were highly upset with the ending, almost on Game of Thrones level of hatred for the ending, and I didn't understand why. So I was looking up like videos to see if they changed it for the Legendary Edition, and I don't think they did. But while watching those videos, that's when I noticed like characters that were dead, that long dead for me, like I don't even think I put them in my party once, were in the 3rd game. So I'm like, wow, it's so cool that you can have such a wildly different experience depending on the choices you make. But it's definitely worth it to play them all back to back like that, because it's like quite the epic to go through.
How'd you feel about the end? not to spoil anything for Mike, but like the end at the time was super
It's gonna be a
contentious.
while.
It was very contentious amongst the gaming world. So I just wonder if it still carries like any sort of like, did it age well? Did you kind of get there and was like, no big deal?
Yeah, I got to be honest. I didn't even really. The reason that I went and looked for those videos is because I thought they changed it for the Legendary Edition.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I got to it, I was like, yeah, I mean, cool. I mean, that's for me. It was a okay topper for it. So, that's why I seek those videos out to see if it was changed in any way. And I think there was like small things that were. Or they might have added like a third option at the end or something like that. That wasn't in the original.
There's always 3 options, but the third one's locked depending on your choices.
Okay. Yeah.
But essentially, I think the biggest gripe was like people were just so attached to the story and their choices. The ending like kind of tosses a lot of that out, and really there's just like 2 or 3 options that everything you've done kind of doesn't matter. But that's really kind of how all stories end at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's a thing that the gaming community, for whatever reason, has a hard time with. Like, they obviously want to tell a story, right? It's their story that they're writing. It's not necessarily, even though you devoted a ton of time to making these choices and stuff, it
they
can't
probably
end
devoted
with
a few more hours.
Right? They did. Yeah, they definitely did. They definitely did. Blood, sweat, and tears, literally, to get these games out. So anytime I hear people complaining about endings in game, unless it's like absolutely horrendous, I'm like, so what? Like, who cares? Like, I get it, but it's not worth making this huge stink over. It got review bombed and everything. And I thought the third game as a package by itself was the best. Cool. Yeah. The gameplay is the best. The stakes are the best.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about it is just like, those 2 first games were building to this moment, and it came and it was fine for me.
I mean, it's the same argument I make for Game of Thrones and life in general. Like, people get so caught up with like, oh, this character, like all this stuff that happened with this character and they just died. I'm like, isn't that exactly how life is? Like, people live their lives, make all these choices, and like they get hit by a bus. Like, done.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Exactly. Sorry. That's how the story ends.
Did you guys see the creator of the Super Nintendo and Nintendo passed away?
Got hit by a bus?
No, I didn't.
He didn't get hit by a bus, but he did pass away. Okay. And I don't remember his name and didn't write it down, but rest in peace, Super Nintendo and Nintendo guy. That's very, very classy. While you guys were talking, I went and added the Legendary Edition to my wish list on Steam.
Nice.
It does sound pretty sweet. I mean, I am in the midst of a massive sci-fi kick because very much, very similar to Chad, I too go on kicks, usually stay on them for a while. See League of Legends.
Also, while Chad was talking, The Expanse releases at midnight on December 10th, Greenwich time, which means if you're in the States, it's already out. It's on Prime right now.
Oh, wow.
Oh, snap. All right. Well, It was a fun episode, guys.
All right, we're out.
We'll see you next week. You got to hear Chad's number 3 game of 2020.
That's it. That's all you get. Come back next week for
It's a good one. It's 3 games, actually.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a valid argument. I'm telling you right now, though, now that The Expanse is coming out, Mike, you should just dive in now, dude, because they go really well together.
How much is the Legendary Edition there, Mike?
Still like $60.
It should be on a $40.
$59.99.
Remaster trilogy should always be $40.
Yeah, maybe. I would agree with a remaster game, but the trilogy, dude, there's a colossal amount of content you're getting in that game. You know what I mean?
True, very true.
Like hundreds of hours worth of stuff.
I guess $60 is one game originally, so
true. And I will say that we've not heard much of the sequel to Mass Effect. They put out one trailer and that was it. Maybe we'll get it at the Game Awards tonight, but it's
you mean like post
in the dark.
like not Andromeda sequel?
No,
Like,
no. Yeah, there's a new one they put a trailer for. And
are they tying
I don't
it?
even think it had a title. It just said
Okay.
Mass Effect will continue.
Okay, interesting. So I wonder if they're gonna ditch, like they tried to do a whole different storyline with Andromeda.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're gonna go back and try to do something closer to home.
Yeah, I think so because, and I'm trying to think. I don't think the Andromeda had the N7 stuff in it, but she finds like the N7, a chunk of the N7 helmet in the snow in the trailer, and I thought that it was a recognizable character from the trilogy, but I might be mistaken on that one. But I tried to play on Andromeda, just coming from those games, going back to 30 frames per second, and then all the problems that Andromeda has as a whole, it just didn't land with me. I played through like half of it.
Did you play Andromeda before the Legendary Edition?
Yeah. So
okay,
when Andromeda came out, I played it maybe at launch or shortly after launch, and maybe played like 3 hours of it. I was like, okay, this is just not landing for me, and I don't see what the big deal with Mass Effect is. This kind of trash, and I feel bad now because it's nothing like that original trilogy at all. The gameplay in it is fun. The gameplay is fun. The gameplay changes they made, I enjoyed. It's just everything else around it.
Game's
even the graphics, the visuals on it are actually really good too. It's just, I don't know. Like we talked about it on the show before, it just feels like it doesn't have a soul. Like there's nothing on the inside, whereas Mass Effect feels like there's a lot in there, you know?
Yeah, it's weighted for sure. Yeah, that was the last deluxe edition pre-order I will ever buy, ever.
I think that's probably a lot of people's last deluxe edition.
Burned. And then after that, like the year subsequent to that, like leading up to like it kind of ended this year, that thing, but like all the games that just crash and burned, like the AAA games that
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, because shortly
Fallout.
Because it was after Andromeda where like maybe not just in my memory, after Andromeda, that's when the wave of like AAA refunds started and just all that stuff, because it all just started missing.
Yeah, I think you're right in that, not just in your memory. I think that was the game that got the ball rolling a little bit.
EA, good job.
Nice.
Typical EA, right?
Nick, hit us up with your number 3, bro.
Oh, my number 3. This was tough between my 2 and 3. But this one gets 3 just because it's just such a staple. It's like a cheat, but I'm gonna throw up Civilization 6 for the PC. Not much to say here. It's just
it's home for you.
It's home for me for sure. Like it's my map game. That's what my wife calls it. And like that's just like, what's Nick doing? Oh, he's playing his map game. Like that's just like a free pass right there because it's home for me. And it's also one that I can just like step away from because it's turn based. So like if the kid's like falling or needs help, like the game's fine. Like it's not missing me. But also, what helped for sure get it, like I had to put it on the list, is because I recently just hit 400 hours in the game, just like this past week.
Dang.
And I mean, that's not a crazy ton of hours when it comes to Civilization, because obviously if like you're a Civilization streamer, like you're in the thousands of hours. But for me, that's a lot. Civilization 5 was the longest one, where it was the first one where I played a full life cycle of the game on Steam, and I got to 600 hours or so on that one. So I'm at 400 on 6. So I just feel like that was a milestone. And at the same time, I also feel like I'm finally playing it at a higher level. Like it's starting to click to where I play on the third to hardest difficulty. So I think I'm at the point where I'm about to enter the second to hardest difficulty. And I've always not liked the hardest difficulty because all it does, it's kind of like poor programming, but there's not really any way around it with a game like that. They just beef up the AI to where they just cheat. Like,
oh yeah, not into it.
Yeah, so it's tough. There's ways to get around it early game to make sure you can, snowball on them and stuff, but it's tricky. But like you start with one city, they get like 3 automatically at the start. So it's contentious, but and that's why I stayed away from it. But I'm getting to the point where that's like less and less a factor, because there's so much depth to that game to where you can combat the AI pretty effectively, even with all their cheating. So
right.
So yeah, this year's been a big refinement of the early game, right? Getting like those first like 50 to 100 turns down, and once you kind of get those down pack, like you can figure out how to snowball the rest of the game.
Yeah. Jordan says, "Did I miss Mike's number 1 pick, Timbertown?" No, you haven't missed it yet. And you stop talking bad about my beavers. I love tending to my beavers and playing with my beavers in Timbertown.
This just sounds bad. It just sounds really bad.
Jordan likes Mike's beaver.
He does.
Tuned into all those streams. But yeah, Civilization 6. Yeah, like you said, Mike, that's a good way to put it. It's home for me. And I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of getting started, having like had that epiphany of like, okay, I think I kind of get this game. It is the most complex of the series, for better or worse. So it's a commitment. That game
honestly
is.
I understand what you're saying though, because like 2 seasons ago or so, when I switched roles in League of Legends, I had one of those moments where I'm like, I switched from jungle to support, and all of a sudden like the game clicked, and I was like, oh, this is I think I understand how to play, like at least this role. I understand how to play this role, because I was trying to play that role in a different role that was not intended to be played that way. And so I was always like, I'm not like a terrible player. I'm not like the best player, but like I should be progressing more than I am now. And then when I switched to the role I was actually trying to play in a different one, like I saw that progression happen, and I was like, oh, it's a great feeling. I love it. So I totally can resonate with that.
Yeah, and I had that moment, and then I watch Potato McWhiskey all the time. So he's basically he's almost a full-time Civ streamer, but he just hit like 3,000 hours on the game, maybe more.
Wow.
But that's like a bulk of what his channel does, and he's like one of the more popular ones. But I was watching it, and there was this mechanic he thought he completely understood. He read like one tooltip where he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And like, he's kind of like educated. Then he like reads, he's like, wait, like, he's like, what the, he's like, that's been there. He's like, there's no way that's been there. And like, he just like lost it, because he's like, that changes. He's like, I've been playing it like not wrong, but like definitely not as good as I could have been.
Handicap.
Yeah. Like he was missing like a critical, like understanding of this one mechanic. And, you know, even with that many hours in it, like there's still things you learn about that game, and that's just like the craziest thing.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. You guys ready for my number 3?
Yeah,
Hit
man.
All right. So my number 3 coming in hot is Pokemon Unite, and I played this mainly on Switch. Played a game or 2 on mobile. It's actually not bad on mobile, and I'm shocked that I would even say that. Because I'm not a big fan of playing anything on my phone. But honestly, this ports well to mobile, though I'd still recommend playing on a Switch. But you know, I didn't say I stopped playing MOBAs. I just stopped playing League of Legends. So this kind of like slid into the place of League of Legends because it combines my 2 favorite things, MOBAs and Pokemon. So no brainer for me. Honestly, it was good on release, but seeing the updates that have happened since release, I'm thinking like, was the big update when the season ended? I don't know. There was a big update like several months after release that felt like that the true release of the game. Like they cleaned up the UI, added a bunch of things that probably should have been there from the start. But overall, very, very fun game. It's a fun entry into the MOBA genre. At least at this point, the Pokemon aren't too difficult to wrap your mind around, though. I've been looking at some of the Pokemon that have released over the last month or two, because I haven't played in probably a month or two, if I'm being honest. And some of the kits are getting a little more complex, which is needed, and I'm excited for. But yeah, if you've played MOBAs before, this will be a fun game for you. If you've never played MOBAs before, I still think it will be a fun game, because the MOBA part of it is pretty easy to grasp and not nearly as complex and convoluted as like Dota or League of Legends, or even Heroes of the Storm, which is a pretty basic MOBA.
I was going to ask, like, in terms of like Heroes of the Storm, is it above or below?
I think it's above in terms of enjoyment and fun, but in terms of like complexity, it's probably easier than Heroes.
It's free to play, right?
It is free to play. It's made by Tencent, who is, basically the owner of Riot, so it's very heavily inspired by League of Legends, which is good. But yeah, first ranked season is complete. I finished in master rank, which is exciting. It's definitely the highest rank I've ever gotten in any kind of MOBA game. I just fired it up today, actually, because of it being on the list. I wanted to see what's happened. And again, I turned it on. They updated it for, a holiday event that starts next week. And the UI is, even from the last time they updated it, it's even still improving. They keep cleaning it up almost every update. It's really nice. And season 2 ranked started like a month ago or so. I'm slowly getting back into it. I will say the one thing that infuriates me about this game is they have a ridiculous comeback mechanic, which I've benefited from a ton, but also lost a ton of games from. And the reason it's infuriating is because so matches are 10 minutes in length total. Like that's
crazy.
it. They're timed. They're only 10 minutes, which is amazing. It makes it really fun to just slam out like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
And it's been like 45 minutes, But in the last 2 minutes, a legendary Pokemon appears in the middle of the map, and if you kill that Pokemon, you can instantly score on the enemy goal, which is nice. That's not that game breaking or infuriating just on its own, but also in the last 2 minutes, anytime you score, your points are doubled. So you combine that with being able to instantly score without being interrupted. And there have been so many games where my team has been crushing the enemy team. I mean, we're up like 600 to 200. The enemy team gets that legendary Pokemon and then beats us by like 200 points. And it's like, why did I even bother playing the first 8 minutes of this match?
But if you're
this massive lead.
But if you're crushing, like, why are you guys letting these noobs get the?
It's a rubber band effect, right?
Yeah, it's
like
not
the old racing games.
It's really not that hard to come in and steal that legendary Pokemon. And I mean, all it takes is one mistake by one person, and they steal the Zapdos. Then all of a sudden, there goes your 500 point lead. You just lost a game, and it's just like,
oh wow,
I want to pull my hair out.
Right.
Yeah, it's not cool.
But I mean, aside from that, it was fun. I still made it to Masters, so I can't complain too hard. But yeah, that's number 3 for me.
Yeah, that would really, I hate games that have like a rubber band effect like that. A lot of old racing games used to have that, where you could be like 3 laps ahead, and then you would be by the end they're like right on your butt. And there are some games that claim they don't have it, but it's very clear that they have it. So NBA 2K definitely 100% has a rubber banding effect like that, where if you're in a huge lead, it's going to be close at the end of the game. And it's just annoying, because it's like, if you're playing really good, especially
in multiplayer or single player or like AI.
Multiplayer.
Oh,
multiplayer. Yeah.
Interesting.
So basically, if you're down, you're going to nail a whole heck of a lot more shots than your opponent is. So you're going to be draining threes, and no matter if you get a perfect bar on 2K, it's not going to go in the hoop.
Interesting.
So it's annoying. I guess I hate blowing teams out in sports games when I'm playing against the computer. So for that, it's okay. Like, it'd be cool in Madden to not win 80-5 every game, or 7,
right?
You know, so. But at the same time, it can be a little bit of a headache to throw a element like that into game.
My only suggestion to the Unite team would be to have one or the other, right? Like, either have the instant turn in or have the double points under 2 minutes, but together it's insane.
Yeah,
because not only have I lost games that I shouldn't have lost, but I've won a lot of games that I had no reason to win, where like I swoop in, crap. I steal that Zapdos, and then all of a sudden we turn in 500 points in like 30 seconds.
They definitely need to split that up, because it should be a decision, like a map decision from a team. Like, do we want to go after the legendary Pokemon, or do we want to score a ton of like double points? Yeah. So like, if the other team is going after legendary Pokemon, you should be free to like clear up the lanes and like get a ton of points at double points. So
and a lot of it goes, not to be that person, but I'm going to be that person for a minute. But a lot of it also comes down to people not understanding really the game, because like, if you're up 600 points, you shouldn't try to take down Zapdos, because you don't need it. You should just be around it and keeping the enemy away from it. But so many times, like, one or two of my teammates would be trying to take this legendary Pokemon, and I'm like sitting there, I'm like, what are you doing? They're just gonna steal it. Like, we don't need this. What? But anyways,
defense.
And then guess what? They steal it, and then I'm like throwing my Switch across the room.
Brings me back to the hot mic melting in chat days. You idiots.
Yeah.
Well, no, you were never toxic, but you'd be barking out the commands like, no. Like, you are going to die.
Yeah, and then they would die, and then I'd be like, I told you. But anyways, that's it. That's number 3 for me. So let's go circle back to Chad. What do you got for us there, man?
Yeah, so my number 2 is Hitman 3, and this is the earliest game that I played in the year. It came out in January. However, I don't know what it is about this new trilogy of Hitman games, but I just love them, man. I can't get around it. And the way that they're built is really cool. So each time one of the new games would come out, the maps from the old games would be in the new games, and you could use the gear, the suits, all the graphical upgrades, gameplay upgrades on the new maps. So that makes it, when you get to Hitman 3, I think there's 6 maps in each Hitman, and there are like 6 massive maps. It's not like, I know that sounds probably like a low amount of maps to have in a Hitman game, but they're huge. There's hundreds of different ways to kill your targets. So by the time you get to Hitman 3, you have like a ton of maps. All the graphical upgrades they did to it were, I thought the game looked really, really good. I played it on PS5, so I'm sure that affected it in some capacity. But I don't know, man. It's just like Hitman was a kind of series that had died out for me. It just became a little repetitive, and I think they gathered that to the studio, because I think 2016 maybe is when the new Hitman came out, and it was like their soft reboot of the franchise. But just the concept of having, only 6 maps, right? Which you could probably get through the game in literally like 3 hours, but you're missing a mass amount of content if you do that. You're missing side activities and side missions and all kinds of stuff. But as I was playing Hitman 3, I knew that IO Interactive, the studio, is making a 007 game right now. And it was like, oh, it's so perfect, because Hitman Agent 47 feels like a super spy. All the gadgets you're getting are like super spy gadgets. So it's going to transition so well into a single player 007 game. I think it's based on like him receiving his 007. I don't watch James Bond movies per se.
Damn.
So
when was the last time we had a James Bond game?
they come out
There's
frequently.
one on like a PS2 or PS3 is one I remember.
Yeah,
I
the
forget what it's called,
PS3
though.
maybe got some. I know that we had one, and then obviously GoldenEye back in the 64. But
Yeah.
this is just going to translate so well because it already feels like a James Bond game. You're just playing as Agent 47 as a hitman versus a spy. So I'm excited to see if they're going to keep the same basic setup with like the maps and maybe not necessarily people to kill, maybe various tasks you have to do on the map. But it's just there's a like the largest amount of replayability in these Hitman games because you can literally spend I mean like 10 hours on a map and not finish everything that you need to do on it. So if you're down with replaying stuff over and over, even though you're experiencing stuff a different way every single time because you're killing people different ways, you're getting different routes and everything. It's just a cool concept. And then the third one coming out and combining all the maps together, it just felt very complete. So that's my number 3.
As you were talking, I was like, man, they need to have Jason Statham play the Hitman.
Oh, yeah.
And then
100%.
Before I said anything, I was like, I should look up, see if there was a Hitman movie. There was.
There is.
There was.
Yep. 2 of them.
And Timothy Oliphant, however you say his name.
He's the hitman?
Yeah, the one in the first one, yeah.
Super weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to think of like Mandalorian.
Yeah, well,
right,
I think he's in a lot of like comedic stuff, I feel like.
Yeah. I think of him in Justified. That's where.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing that popped up here. Well, I guess he was in the Crazies, but I mean, still, I can only think of this dude from Santa Clarita Diet.
Yeah, right.
That show is awesome. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, he played it in the first one, and then they came out with the second one, and it's a video game movie. You know, they're not very good for whatever reason. They don't transition. So,
well, I pitch a reboot with Jason Statham.
It's really the perfect pick, to be honest. It's a little shocking they didn't go with that, but maybe they were having, he's kind of like I don't want to say Timothy isn't an A-lister, but he's like maybe he was too expensive.
Yeah,
for a video game movie,
Yeah. All right, Nick, what you got for us?
Okay, so this is my number 2 for a lot of good reasons.
To see.
Ghost of Tsushima is my number 2.
Just wondering if we were going to start getting some overlap here.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't think maybe we won't. I don't know. But Ghost of Tsushima definitely gets number 2 from me because it really kind of reinvigorated, and it had another one of those moments too where like skill came back into the game, a game like that for me, because it's been so long since I've really kind of appreciated a skill type of like button masher, not button masher, but like being able to use a controller effectively. And that was kind of lost on me for like the past 10 years, maybe. Just the little things that game does. Obviously, it's just immensely beautiful, well detailed, great story. Like, it's just an awesome game. But the simplest thing, when like me and Chad talked about in the Patreon episode, like the bamboo strikes, that's all about hitting the sequence of the buttons on the controller and so fast to hit all the bamboos, and each one gets progressively harder. Like, that's just like a skill I had not seen used in the controller in so long. And I missed that from like the PlayStation 2 era is really when I remember it from, or even like PlayStation 1. But obviously the games are far more simple, but somehow they were able to remember, while they have this beautiful, very articulated game, that like there is still skill in the controller to be had, and it wasn't diluted by the prettiness of the game or like the fanciness of the moves and stuff like that. So it just hit a lot of marks for me, and like it was kind of like the first like RPG I've kind of really played in full. I mean, obviously a big part to Chad pushing me through it and making sure I made it all the way through that. But
Right.
100%, I 100% loved it, and the most it did was make me excited for a second one if we were to ever get one, because they have such a good foundation. So like it was kind of like Horizon Zero Dawn for me. So like if we were to do this 2 years ago, like Horizon Zero Dawn would have made the list for whatever year I played that. So like this is kind of like that for me. Like they just have a great foundation to make a sweet trilogy. Should they ever do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You said foundation, and it made me think of the show I'm watching on Apple TV called Foundation, which is pretty good, by the way.
So I've been hearing.
Jordan comments in and says Jordan's number one, Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
Did they remake that?
Makes me think of the World of Warcraft South Park episode. Screw you guys, I'm going to play Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Warcraft.
So I'm glad that Ghost of Tsushima made your top 3. I kind of figured it was going to, just because after our Patreon episode I could tell that you liked it. But I mean, I don't need to say again where I stand on that game. I think it's, if you haven't played it and you're even remotely interested in it, you should go play it right now, because it's fantastic through and through.
Yeah, and just also like games like that, even though like there's a ton of things that could be improved, and for a first entry, like to me it's just so important when they set a good foundation. And that's why I'm so excited for Horizon Zero Dawn. Forbidden West, because I've been seeing like they're cleaning up the human combatants in that game to make them more important and more realistic, and I just know they're just putting so much polish on that game, building it up. So I hope they would do the same thing with Ghosts. And it's just such a good experience in that game, and it is very much like an experience.
It is, yeah, definitely. And it's like we can't tell you how beautiful this game is. Like you have to just see it in person. Like the videos on YouTube aren't going to do it, because it's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played in my life. And PlayStation just knocked it out of the park in 2020 with their first entry exclusives with Spider-Man and Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, I'm very excited for the future of both of those franchises, as well as Horizon, which is actually really close, right? Like February, I think. Forbidden West comes out.
It's creeping,
and it looks
up here real
dude.
soon.
I don't know if you watch any of the gameplay from that. It looks, it looks amazing.
So nice.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to play it. I probably should go back and play the original one, just because it's been so long since I played it. But
I did just pick that one up on the fall Steam sale for like $24 or something.
Very good.
Nice.
Yeah. Jordan says it's number one every year. Talking about Hello Kitty Island Adventure. This guy. It's interesting you threw this on the list, because I don't think I've heard you guys talk about Ghosts on the podcast before.
Never. I don't think this might be the first time. Yeah,
it was really nice to get your thoughts on the game.
It's a good game.
Yeah. Literally, we might have talked about it a lot, but it deserves to be in all those spots we talked about it. That's how good a game it is.
I agree with you guys. Does look like a fun game. Maybe someday it will come to PC and I'll be able to play it someday.
Yeah, but my only counter argument there is like you need the PlayStation controller.
Oh yeah.
You don't get any of that through a keyboard and mouse. And actually, I'm so glad I just thought of that and you said that, because there's another reason why some games should just be played on a console and not a computer. Unless there's like adaptive trigger, like I guess you could get it. Maybe there's probably like, I don't know.
I wonder if the coolness of the controller would translate when plugging it into a PC, or if it's just like
that's the only thing I don't know.
It has to be hooked up to a PlayStation to get.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. That's a great question. I think the problem, the hang up there is that the game has to have those adaptive trigger settings within the game, and they're not going to be there on PC. So you're probably not going to get any of that. But that's a good point. That it's understated how much that adds to games. Like I even when I first heard about the the new PlayStation controller, I was like, I mean, it kind of sounds a little gimmicky. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. But when we get to my
It's
number
called
one pick, I'm going to
immersion.
talk about it. Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does add a lot to the game. Like it's shocking how much it adds.
I mean, Mike called me a serial killer because, like, you feel like you are swinging a samurai sword in that
Yeah.
game.
You really do.
Yeah,
It's just,
I
it's
mean,
just so
'cause
engaging.
most
Yeah.
of the games I play on PC, story-wise, I use a controller, but
Ugh.
Old 360.
yeah,
grimy
this
controller.
is a GameStop 360
Oh man,
controller.
the knockoff 360 controller.
Yeah, so you know, big roller over here.
Yeah. Gonna be quite the
Um,
boost to you if you ever get a PS5, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. So I think there's going to be some overlap here. I would be surprised if there wasn't. So if there is, we might just roll back to Nick after this. But my number 2 was Valheim. Played
Wow.
this a lot on the PC. Actually, let's look at my hours. 'Cause I slammed it for some time there. 222.4 hours
In
played
like
on
3
Valheim.
months.
In like, yeah, probably about 3 months. I went hard. Hard. The lighting fixtures in the canal weren't gonna farm and build themselves. So
Definitely not.
just throwing that out there. But no, I mean, we've talked about this game quite a bit on the podcast. But
Had its own episode.
it did have its own episode. One of our first video game ones, I think.
It might have been the
If not,
first.
No, New World was the first.
Oh yeah,
but,
New World was. Yeah.
But no, I had so many fun times, fun nights in this game, just having adventures with Nick and Crossland in the forest, the Black Forest, running away from trolls, getting swarmed by gray dwarfs, digging a canal that boats could sail through, a landmass in. I mean, there's so much you can do in the game. There's like a light story element. There's bosses you can fight to unlock new stuff. Other than that, it's just like Viking Minecraft, and you just do what you want to do, let your creativity go. And I don't know, I love gathering resources. So I was basically like Nick's slave, just getting stone and wood so he could partially construct cool things and then never finish them.
That's right. Can you ever really finish anything?
Not you. But no, so much fun. Traversing the crypts in the swamp to get my iron ore and having to like build little iron camps, like loading docks basically on the water so we could sail our boat. And it's just, there was so much there. It was so fun. So much fun playing with Nick and Mike.
It's definitely a process to that game sometimes, like just to get some stuff, certain things done. Like you just have, there's just certain things you have to do, and it's not always easy.
No, but it's cool. It makes it fun because like just everything was an adventure. And
yeah,
like, I don't know, we just made our own adventures. It was awesome.
Yeah,
and I've been wanting to get back into it, but when I joined Nick's new seed, I like died. I drowned trying to get to him.
He just thought he could swim across the ocean, and then
I almost
out
made
and
it
died.
too. I almost made it. But yeah, so all my gear is just sitting in the middle of the ocean, and then I got on again, and Nick, like before an episode of the podcast, he was gonna sail me out to my body, but I was naked and had like 20 HP because I have no food or anything. And so I'm sitting on his boat, and we're sailing by a mountain, and I froze to death on the boat. So like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna do this another day.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a cool game, man. It's not really necessarily my type of game, but hearing you guys talk about it, it sounds really fun.
Oh yeah, it's a blast. I want to get back into it. I just got to get back to my body somehow, which
he's got to log on.
And I can only do it when Nick's on because I was on his seed and died with all my actual good gear because our Valheim server is not open any longer, so I can't like go on there to get stuff.
So you need to like go once you die, you go back and get all your gear and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you
It's that
can
little,
die
like,
multiple
stone.
times, and you just each time you die, you have a corpse that you can go back and loot. So,
Oh,
like,
okay.
I haven't like lost my good gear because I died on my way back. It's just
Gotcha.
now I spawned way far away from Nick, and so I have to like meet him halfway or run all the way back to him.
Oh, wow.
But it's worth it.
Logistics, they're
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. There's no like fast travel system whatsoever.
There is, but not. It's tied to objects, not the person. So like,
Oh, okay.
You can build like little teleport
you have
gateways,
to build everything,
but you have to
so.
like go to those and then you can teleport. But you have to like link two gateways together that you built. So like if you want to teleport somewhere, you gotta travel to both places first
Oh,
and
then
build your
yeah.
things,
So it
and then
doesn't
you
make
can
sense,
port
yeah.
between the two. But the world is huge, like massive.
Huge.
We haven't even gotten close to like uncovering an entire map yet.
Oh,
And they're
wow.
not even close to finishing all their like biomes.
Yeah,
like
they're only
probably
like halfway
2/3,
done.
yeah,
Yeah.
halfway or something. So right now
I've
they're just
played-
kind of empty, the undone biomes, but
Yeah. I played 222 hours, and one of my jobs was I was like the scouter of the three of us. So I would go and try to uncover my map, and I only uncovered like maybe a continent.
Wow.
And yeah, so there's a lot, and it's fun. And I feel like this is going to be on Nick's list, but maybe I'm wrong.
you have to wait and see.
Well, I'm done. So is it on your list? Should
No,
we
we
go
gotta do-
back to you, or are we
we gotta
going
do
back to
honor-
Chad?
We gotta do
Oh,
honorable
yeah.
mentions.
Honorable mentions.
Yep.
All right, Chad. Honorable mentions. You can just rattle them all off, and briefly talk about why they were so close to being on your list.
Yeah, so for my honorable mentions, I picked Ghost of Tsushima's director's cut. Obviously, it's a no-brainer for it to be on my list. If you want to hear me talk about Ghost of Tsushima, check out the Patreon episode. We did a whole Patreon episode on it. It's all there. We broke it down for like a couple hours. And then the other one that I put on there was Judgment, which is a detective spin-off of the Yakuza franchise I played on PS5 this year. Super fun combat, super engaging story about a serial killer that you're kind of tracking. And I don't know, I really enjoyed it. So
So those are like 2 honorable mentions. You have 3 for this evening as your picks, but how many games have you played this year?
yeah. So I was looking back. I was trying to find a way to figure this out, and the only thing that I could find was the played section under the PlayStation app, and there's quite a few. I mean, I'd have to go through and count them, but I mean, I think Mass Effect was like 20 down, and that was in May. So there's several before that too. So yeah, quite a few. You know, a lot of these on here, the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition fizzled out for me. I didn't play much of it. I played through the Mafia trilogy, which came very close to an honorable mention, the Definitive Edition, but I left it out just because it came out last year and I was just late getting to it. So,
About you, Nick, you got any honorable mentions?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I'll throw a couple out. The most notable honorable mention for me is No Man's Sky on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah,
and that was a recent pickup. And I mean, I was playing it pretty consistently for a few weeks there. I think I just kind of stinted off. I think I dove back into Valheim, and then now I'm back into Civ. But right after Ghost, because I was just on my PS5, it was like on sale. So I got No Man's Sky, and obviously probably one of the most recovered games from launch. Like
absolutely,
there is.
if not the most. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, from what I hear, and it's a very playable game. It's very like calming, passive. Like you're just kind of chilling. You're slowly building your base. You're collecting parts and components to do stuff.
Space Valheim.
It's Space
Yes.
Valheim.
Yeah.
So it's a natural transition for me, and it's a console version, so I get the enjoyment of just like chilling and doing it, not being stuck at my desk for another 8 hours
Right.
playing Valheim.
Yeah.
I sit here all day, and then like I sit here and play like 4 hours of Valheim in an evening. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this chair is getting its use.
I haven't left my basement in 12 hours. Too.
So did you play the PS5 version of No Man's Sky?
Yep.
Yeah. I need to jump back into that because I haven't played it with the upgrades to the PS5. I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, I looked at some videos just like comparing them, and like it's pretty noticeable. It's mostly like immersion noticeable in terms of like the draw distance is further, there's more foliage. So like it's just a more full visual experience, which I think is super helpful for a game like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I played a good chunk of it at launch and it just wasn't grasping me. And then I returned to it like 6 months later and it was like almost an entirely different game. So it got quite the upgrade. And I know there are a lot of people that love that game now. So I need to go back to it with the PS5 upgrades because I do enjoy it. And you're right. It's just a super chill game, dude. Like, you know.
Yeah, and I'm not even fully oriented in like the game yet. Like I don't even think I've broken through like the tutorial to the point where I'm spending a lot of time per usual doing all the like other stuff that I'm allowed to do. Like I haven't like done the like really venture out there and start breaking the game open. So that's still waiting for me. So I'm excited to kind of like get back to it, and that'll probably be a good winter game coming up here, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. So
whenever you get like PlayStation Plus or whatever, like I downloaded No Man's Sky on Game Pass, so I think it's cross-platform. I think we could all play together. I think.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
The game that was
wrong though.
No, it is. The game that was gonna make me get PlayStation Plus, just like it just didn't launch well.
Yeah.
It just fizzled and died. I didn't pre-order it. Rip Battlefield 2142 or 2042.
24, yeah.
Rip.
I mean, it's out, right? I can buy it technically and play it.
Yeah. It's definitely out, and I felt the exact same way that you felt about it. Where we talked, and we even talked about the show. How
you
we
guys
were
were real hyped about it.
Real hyped for it.
We're big hyping it.
Yeah, and I remember saying like, "Oh man, it launching so close to the definitive edition of Grand Theft Auto is like a real headache for me," and I ended up not playing either of those games. So that rarely happens, but you know, we'll see. Maybe it'll turn around. But
well, the worry, my worry is I saw like an article where I didn't understand the headline, but it was something to the effect like it's only going to be supported for like 15 months and then they're going to move on to the next one, and it's going to be like some sort of I forget what the word was, some sort of like hero shooter, I think it was called.
Ew.
Like the next Battlefield game's like hero shooter. I don't even know what that is. Like, is that Halo?
Yeah, no, it's like Overwatch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe it's, so if that article like bears any kind of truth, like it sounds like they might just like abandon and dump it. Who knows? It's sad.
I mean, they're kind of known for doing that with their games, and I think at least a couple weeks ago it was the worst reviewed game on Steam. So so it didn't launch in like, we're not just, it's not a 7 that we're not playing. It's like in the 3s by the sounds
Holy
of it.
crap!
All to say, Mike, I'm either have to get really into No Man's Sky to say, yes, I'm going to get Plus so we can play it together, or a game worth having Plus is going to need to come out, because otherwise I am just single player heaven.
Here's let me give you my 2 cents on that. I think it's a no-brainer to get to PlayStation Plus. You're going to get a catalog of games that are always there, and they're the top games that you might own, you might not own. You know, God of War, Uncharted, all that stuff's in the PlayStation collection on the PS5, and then you're getting 3 free games every month. I mean, it more than pays for itself.
I used to love PlayStation Plus.
Oh yeah,
it's only $50 a year too, I think, right?
Yeah. It easily pays for itself probably in a month, maybe 2 months for the year. And I've had it since the PlayStation 3, and I have like a catalog of like 400 games in my library. So yeah,
but here's the caveat with me and all those points is I try to play the games I have, and I don't even do that. So
yeah.
I'm not gonna like carve out the time to play
Excuses.
all these other games.
Right.
But then
I mean,
you won't have to buy games at the rate that
yes,
you play games.
exactly.
But I'm
And
buying them by paying for Plus. But it's pretty cheap. It's the cost of
it's
a game a
very,
year.
yeah. It's
60
very,
bucks.
it's
You can
very
play it with
cheap.
your pals. Like
I don't like
That's
playing with
another.
people.
Yeah, I'm
And
the same
bio.
way. I'm the same
Only if
way,
I'm
so.
shooting people is the only way I like playing with people.
Unbelievable. Do you have any more honorable mentions?
Wow, I did. Just one. What was it going to be? Oh, this is an honorable mention just because I want so much more from it. And once again, I think they have a good foundation every time. Humankind, obviously like a competitor alternative civilization. Very cool game. They did a lot of cool things. Obviously, games like that, like Civilization's on its 6th edition, and it's been around for 30 plus years. Those games take time to refine, and they're just so complex. Like Humankind was bound to not like nail it on the head right out the gate. So that's just an honorable mention because I enjoyed what I played, but there just wasn't enough there to like justify playing it over Civ. So that's another one of those I hope to see a lot from it in the coming years. So it could have been a top 3, I think, but it just didn't have the it needed.
Nice. Very good. That's a lot considering it before we started. You're like, I don't think I have any honorable mentions.
Start thinking about it a little bit more. What about you, Mike?
I got 3.
Wow.
And I made banners.
Oh, dang it. I did play
Look at
that game.
Man, that's spicy. But yeah, first honorable mention, Jedi, The Fallen Order.
I knew I played another game this year.
I think this is the first game that I played coming off of my crippling League of Legends addiction. Super fun.
I think
Tail
between
end of my
between the Star Wars stim pack I gave you and then you getting off League,
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
I played this right after I watched every Star Wars entry on Disney Plus, basically. Super fun game. I really enjoyed the story. The gameplay was fun. Getting to fight people with a lightsaber as a Jedi was awesome. I can't wait for the next one. For Jordan, Timberborn did make my honorable mention list. This is a city builder game on Steam where you play as a society of beavers in a post-apocalyptic world where humans have died out and only beavers have survived. Has a fun mechanic where every map has a river running through it and there is a dry and wet season. So you have to like stock up on water to drink and food to eat during the wet season because during the dry season the river dries up and all of your you can't get water out of the river if the river's not there. And all of your farms and stuff, unless you build like irrigation towers and stuff, have no water to grow your crops. So it's a fun like resource management city builder type thing. It's a fun pastime game for me. Like if I'm wanting to play something but not like really wanting to sink a lot of time into something, but then like I'll throw that on and look up and it's been like 2.5 hours. So I'm like, well,
it's not time, it's energy.
Yeah. Good point.
I'm a low energy gamer, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Hey, that's a much better way. Like if I don't feel like expending a lot of energy, or I just want to like watch my society grow and then like make a cool little settlement somewhere.
It's kind of like watching your math homework do itself.
Yeah, it is.
It's like this is so satisfied.
Yeah, it really is. And and my one map I have right now, I think I've like unlocked everything, and I have like a couple hundred beavers and like 4 or 5 different little settlements I made. So now I'm just like building fun stuff. Like there's a little pond lake in between my river, like kind of in the middle of it, and I've built like platforms and made like a settlement on the river on the lake, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I enjoy that game. It was a good pickup on Steam. It's like $25, I think, right now. My last honorable mention should come as no surprise, but the various Pokemon ROMs I play on PC here, anything from like FireRed and LeafGreen to HeartGold, SoulSilver to some of these fan-made games like Pokemon Daybreak that I'm streaming at the moment. Lots of fun. Getting to revisit some old Pokemon games that I can't play on my Switch. And experience some fun fan-made ones. There are a handful I've played. PokeMMO is cool. Pokemon Daybreak's cool. But all of that is just kind of getting me hyped for Legends Arceus, which comes out in January, which I'm super pumped about, and I cannot wait for.
That's the open world one.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very Breath of the Wild like, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Those are my honorable mentions. I did just finish up the Resident Evil 2 remake on stream, which was really fun. That could have made my honorable mention list, but I mean, honestly, I think that's like all the games I played this year. So I guess if we're not counting like Pokemon Shield on Switch and stuff, but
yeah, I guess Fallen Order is like the only other, like that should have been an honorable mention for me, or at least that's the other game I played this year in its entirety.
Well, you guys both played Control this year too, I think, right?
That too.
Yeah, I didn't put that on there because I didn't finish it. I think I only got like maybe halfway, which
same.
Yeah, it feels real bad when we had an entire episode about what Control is and only Chad finished it.
We didn't need to. I mean, that game is just you can't, like in the episode, you can't really explain too much of it because you're like, I have no idea what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really cool.
Yeah. It's about the environment and the building you're in and all the stuff you're experiencing, not necessarily the story, you know?
Yeah. But if you're able to understand the story is really cool. It's just like completely comprehending the craziness that's going on. It's a little bit difficult,
the tough part.
But I love it. And like we talked with Wendigoon the first time he came on, we had like a large segment talking about SCPs. And I know you've talked about SCPs before, Chad.
Yeah.
But like if you are interested in SCPs at all, like the stories, this is basically the video game version of an SCP, but also like the Bureau basically is
that
like,
controls all the SCP. Yeah.
It's just it's awesome.
Yeah.
But now that we got those out of the way, let's go ahead and get to our number ones, and we will start with you, Chad. Your number one game of 2021.
Yeah, so my number one is Returnal, which is the very first game that I ever reviewed.
Nice.
And this was actually the first game that kind of showcased what the PS5 controller could do with all of its adaptive triggers and all that stuff. I know Bio's streaming this. I think he just finished it.
Yeah, he just beat it like 2 days ago.
And I don't know, man. It's I'm not a big arcade shooter kind of guy, so I had never played outside of maybe like Resogun on the PS4 when it launched, just because there was not a lot to play on the PS4 when it launched. I'm not a big arcade shooter, so I kind of avoided all their games. But when this game came out and it seemed like they were stepping outside of the arcade shooter realm, but still keeping some of the DNA from their arcade shooters, and then the sci-fi setting that's very, very Alien franchise to me, if I'm being honest. I was like, yeah, it's right up my alley. I'm definitely going to play it. And it's punishing. I'm not going to lie. It can get very difficult. And there's some elements to it that I was not the biggest fan of at the beginning of the game, which by the end of the game, I actually really loved. And that's all the randomness of the game. I'm like a notoriously terrible RNG guy. If RNG's in any of my games, I'm not getting anything. You know what I mean? I'm getting all the crappiest stuff.
Right.
Just how I am. So I struggled a little bit with the RNG in the game and the roguelike setup of the game, where if you die, everything resets and you start from the beginning. But by the end of it, it made the game, it lengthened the game for me and kept it fresh longer, I think, because it wasn't, if that those elements weren't there, I probably could have blazed through the game in 2 hours if I was able to pick my weapons out and pick all my upgrades out and all that. So I think I completed it with like maybe 50 hours. But it's just fun, man. It's the gameplay in it is really tight and responsive like an arcade shooter would be, but it's, you know, them stepping out and kind of going into a more AAA development cycle, I guess is the best way to put it. But I'm excited to see if they do any DLC for it. I'm sure it's coming. Or, you know, I'm excited to see what their next game is now that they kind of dip their toe in, you know, out of the arcade shooter realm. But just yeah, man, the gameplay is awesome in it. The graphics are awesome in it. The story's kind of and then there's I can't remember exactly how many different biomes there are in it, but they all feel totally unique. And, you know, nothing really ever felt dry, even though I spent 50 hours pretty much doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over until I finally beat the game. It didn't feel like by the end I was like burnt out in any way. So I don't know what was the X factor there. But yeah, it's just the gameplay is awesome. The music, the way that they use the music in it. So Don't Fear the Reaper, the song, is utilized in the game in a really awesome way where it's kind of in the background. You can almost tell that it's there, but like you pick up on little snippets here and there. And the reason for that is I'm not going to spoil the game necessarily right now, but it's playing in a car in a part of the story. And so when you're going through these biomes, you can hear like just little notes of Don't Fear the Reaper going on in the background. It's just so cool. Like the first time I picked it up, I was like, wait a second, that's definitely the song. But it's awesome. Like it's almost unrecognizable the way they do it. And I just thought it was brilliant. I think it's it's an easy number one for me. And it's an easy number one for me because not a whole lot of games came out this year, probably because of COVID. But I gave it a 90 on Downright Creepy, which would probably equate to like a 9 out of 10. And I think it's well deserving of that rating. But yeah, if you're even remotely into the Alien franchise or arcade shooters, you should definitely be playing this game. And if you want to see what the PS5 controller can do outside of Ghost of Tsushima, you should definitely go play it.
Nice. I enjoy the colors in that game because I watched Bio stream it, and I love colors.
Yeah, and a lot of the like projectiles coming out of the enemies are literally ripped right out of Resogun and their other arcade shooters. They just made it 3D. So a lot of the, you know, like the ball projectiles that are coming out of you, it just feels like the natural progression of what the studio was doing prior to Returnal.
Nice. What do you got, Nick?
Well, I feel like I need to play Returnal at some point.
Dude,
but much like kind of like Chad's point about Returnal, how like, you know, he spent 50 hours really doing the same thing, but really doesn't get bored. I mean, not to overlap a little bit, but obviously my number one game for the year is Valheim, clocking in at 260 hours.
Wow.
Because I went on a stint this past like month or so, kind of building out my world. But a game like that, it just speaks to me because it's just my own little adventure. And I like have a pipe dream of having a world built out to where it's kind of like World of Warcraft is in terms of like roads, cities, towns, and like there's just this entire world. And something that
only you inhabit.
That only Pause.
That's the only bad part about Valheim.
Well, I have in this last round gotten into modding the game, and there is a mod that populates the villages after you clear them with NPCs.
What?
Low health NPCs that will fight but mostly get wrecked if like an event happens. But
oh no, then all your people die.
But then they respawn. I was reading about it, but
nice.
there's a lot of interesting mods out there that just add, you know, quality of life things to the game, and then just further kind of help it be like just whatever this world is you want it to be. And it's just I set up like my little network and I gather, I build, and it's really an exercise of like building for me. And as Mike can attest, like I'm fairly good at building sometimes, most of the time. And I'm just like constantly refining my building techniques to build stuff that looks like it would come out of like Skyrim, kind of, in terms of town layouts, little villages, things like that. So I mean, yeah, it's just one of those games that just speaks to me.
Nick did recently put out a video of the 4K like HD.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
mod, and it's picked up some traction on YouTube. But more importantly, it makes the game look great. Like, I enjoyed the art style and graphic style of the game, like no mod. But that 4K like HD mod really it's a very good mod. Makes it look nice.
Yeah, I threw that on the Valheim Reddit, so that's probably a little bit of the traction too. Like, it's the Valheim Reddit's great as well.
Oh, there's so much crazy stuff that people build on there.
Great community, because it's just always people just posting. They're like, the joke is like, it's not much, but it's home, and it's like the most ridiculous thing. Or it's super humble, right? And it's just someone starting out playing. So it's a great little community, and it's just full of just creativity on there. And that's one of the fun things about the game too. Because if I'm not playing Valheim, and like there'll be like I haven't even played Valheim in the past like couple weeks, because the game updated and all my mods broke, and I haven't taken the time to fix it. But I'm just on Reddit, like just looking at what people are doing, because it's kind of like a little art community of creativity, and it's just fun.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. What a great game! I had a feeling it would be on your list.
Surprised, yeah, I had to go
honestly
somewhere.
Surprised that it was number one, but I guess also not surprised.
Yeah, he just kind of takes the cake for the year, like, because I never got into Minecraft, and that's just where it settles for me. Like, Minecraft's a huge game for so many people, and their go-to. So this kind of filled that niche for me.
Nice.
And it came out this year too, and like it broke a ton of records on Steam when it first came out. There's a huge like fall off, obviously, because they are a small studio. They spent a lot of time fixing bugs and just making sure the game's polished over just pumping out content. So I also am a big fan of the team and just like how they're approaching this game. So like obviously in 5 years, it's going to be really good, but I'm enjoying it along the way.
On top of that, like, even though they did spend a majority of the year fixing and optimizing, there weren't very many, like, at least game-breaking, annoying bugs. There were a few things here and there. I mean, what game doesn't have stuff? But it was nothing that, like, broke the game. Like, it was very, very playable. And
it was the most playable early access game. Though. Was it early access? Is it early access?
I don't know. But yeah, it was pretty polished on release, especially for a smaller game with a smaller.
It's an early access game, so it is the most polished early access game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not even the game's technically not done, but you don't notice until you get to like the extremities of the world.
Biome.
Yeah, like it's procedurally generated, so you go to like an empty biome and there's nothing there. But if you technically go to a biome like that you haven't found yet, after they update the game, your world will update with the next stuff. So I mean, it's a well-crafted game, and they're putting care and thought into it. And I think that's an underappreciated thing.
Is it free?
No,
it's $20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
16.
Well worth. Oh, especially $16. Like
$16.
It's worth it.
Get the soundtrack bundle. Just play the game if you want the soundtrack.
Yeah, right.
You guys ready for this?
Yeah, I'm very interested. I'm always interested in Mike's like number one pick because I'm either gonna like love it or hate it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like massively troll you, or it's gonna be like blatantly obvious. And this one you should see this coming, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
shocking.
I figured.
Yeah, number one game for me this year has been Darkest Dungeon, and I think the game actually like came out in 2015 or something, which is kind of funny. Let me look it up real quick. But I just finished a playthrough of this game. 2016 is when it came out. Just finished a playthrough of this game on stream 2 nights ago, literally. Clocking in my run at 67.7 hours. But yeah, this game is so fun, and I'm kind of sad that it took me this long to find it. But again, I did buy it on Steam for like $3 on like a mega sale, so I guess I can't be too mad at myself. Best $3 I've ever spent.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
for sure.
68 hours for 3 days.
Yeah. But it's great. Like, it's kind of like a dungeon crawler version of XCOM. If you know the XCOM games, you basically recruit heroes. If they die, it's permadeath. They're gone for good. And basically, there are 4 or 5 different dungeon types. You have like a crypt. I don't remember the exact names. Crypt, the Weald, ruins, Weald. And 2 other ones. They're just different like backdrops and different enemies in each dungeon type. Each dungeon type has 3 or 4 bosses, and as you progress, you beat the bosses. There's different levels of dungeons, and then once you get comfortable enough with your crew, you can head into the Darkest Dungeon, which is a 4-part like final dungeon of the game. And man, I had so much fun playing this game, but I think what made it even more fun was streaming it. And like, because I named all of our heroes after people in our Discord, which made it really fun.
Did I ever die?
You never died. No, you and Chad actually made it. I mean, Nick was pretty early on. And then Chad, you weren't like one of the first few heroes, but you were still like in the first probably third of the game, and you made it all the way. But it was fun because people would come, like I would, snip a picture of their character after I named it and tag them in Discord, and then they would come on the stream and see, and like we would talk, and it was always super painful when somebody would die, and it was like make me really sad, because it became personal. There's an attachment to each character, but also kind of like leveling them up kind of takes a while. So like if the highest level you can have a hero is level 6, and when I lost some level 6 heroes, it like was a dagger to my heart. I was like, oh no, I have to grind so hard to get those back up. But it's a fun like strategical dungeon crawler. The graphics are so cool. It's like a combination of like 2D and like cell shading.
Yeah, that's what I picked up on it watching it. The graphics are awesome.
It looks amazing. The game mechanics are really fun. It's turn-based combat. A lot of RNG, which was both made it interesting and infuriating at times. The bosses were really fun fights.
The narrator.
The narrator is amazing. The story's pretty cool. All the bosses, like the enemy designs are really interesting. Again, I think it's a combination of things that made this game so great for me, like how cheap I got it and like the fun I had streaming it with everyone. But beyond that, like it's just a fun game. Like I would definitely recommend this. The one thing that I would say is this is on Game Pass, so if you have an Xbox, you can get it. I think it might still be on there. But I noticed after like 40 hours of playing it on Steam that it's available on the Switch, and I feel like this would be a perfect.
I was just gonna say, like,
sure.
Because it's buy a Switch for this probably. Because to me, like, this is what you would want to lay on the couch or in bed and just like play.
Yeah, because I mean, it's literally like your movement is left and right, and then you like click on stuff to open it, and then your combat, you're just picking a move and what like enemy you want to hit. So like not a lot of controls needed. But yeah, it would be perfect for the Switch. A sequel just came out like last month, I want to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That. Is that on the Switch also?
Not yet. It was on the Epic Store, I think.
Oh, it's on it's on everything. It's on PlayStation.
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because it was on Game Pass, so I would assume that it would be on.
Is the permadeath in that an option? Or is it just
no? That's
permadeath?
Just how it is.
You gotta get all the DLC, Mike.
I know. I thought about it, but I did get the Musketeer DLC because it was free, but it was just a playable character. The Butcher Circus was free, but that adds like multiplayer I haven't really messed around with. Yeah, I thought about getting the other DLCs, but I did not pull the trigger. The sequel doesn't look like it's on Steam yet, so I think it's still just on the Epic Store. But if and when the sequel comes to the Switch and or Steam and is on a good sale, I'm definitely going to pick up the sequel. But yeah, I had a blast playing this game, and I hope you guys try it out if you haven't. It's worth it.
I gotta be honest. I might try it out because so one of my favorite games of all time is Persona 4, which is a turn-based game that I played on the Vita, and it's just the perfect game. It's the perfect handhelds are perfect for those kind of games, and I really like the art style on this.
Oh, the art style!
And watching you play, watching you play it, it looks so fun. And I didn't know there was a sequel. Might maybe wait till the sequel comes out. That way I can just knock them out back to back. But
yeah, the sequel looks to be, I mean, the main gameplay is very similar with a new twist. So I'm excited to try that. I did watch a few people stream it like the first day it came out, just because I didn't know there was a sequel, and I was like, oh, I gotta check this out. The art style is a little bit different. It's still like it's like a 3D version of the 2D animation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It looks different. It still looks good. There's a lot more animation to the character movements and moves and all that stuff. But also the combat and the gameplay is very strategic. Like you really got to think of your moves kind of like a step ahead. And not only are you managing your health bar during these dungeon runs, trying to keep yourself alive, but there's also a stress bar, which is interesting. So like enemies can damage you with, physical damage and or also add stress to you. And just like walking through the dungeon will stress some of your characters out. You get the amount of torchlight you have while you're going will stress your characters out at different amounts. And one of the things that's really interesting is that your characters have a 200 stress bar. When they get to 100 stress, they have like a virtue test, and if they fail, they get some kind of negative attribute that is usually generally really annoying to play with for the rest of the dungeon.
Yeah.
Like for example, they'll become hopeless and just like pass on their turn, or like during the battles they'll say stuff like, oh, we're all gonna die, and it'll like cause stress to the rest of your members.
Wow.
Or like they might attack one of your party members, or like refuse to. Let's say Nick's character is hopeless and I try to heal him with my healer. He'll be like, oh, what's the point? And he won't accept healing. And it's just like, it adds like a really fun layer to the game. When you get all the way to 200 stress, your character will have a heart attack and they'll either just like die
dead,
or like I had one character have like 7 heart attacks in one dungeon before he actually died. But like all the other times, it just wiped his health out to 0. And but they also have a chance at 100 stress to become virtuous, and they'll get some kind of positive quirk that they don't really show in the game, like what exactly the quirk is doing. But like maybe they'll do a little more damage, or they'll randomly shout like encouraging things during the match and make teammates lose stress instead of gain
Oh,
stress.
that's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really fun mechanic to have to manage the health bar and the stress bar and everything else that's going on in the dungeon.
Definitely looks hard from your
It
or
does.
challenging.
Yeah.
Challenging.
Yeah.
It's definitely challenging. You got to think a lot, and I got underfunded to play, and he was telling me the other day he's already like had 20 people die or something. It's just like, oh man,
Wow.
that's rough. But I feel his pain for sure.
Where do you find the teammates at? Like through the dungeon?
No, so every time you complete a dungeon, it advances your little settlement a week, and each week new heroes come in on the stagecoach, and you can kind of you can upgrade all of these buildings in your settlement to like make more recruits come, or have them come at a little bit higher of a level, or in the town there's different ways to reduce stress after dungeons, so you can like de-stress your heroes. There's like,
Didn't my character always want to go to the brothel or whatever?
yeah, you were by the end of it just a straight up alcoholic, and you would only go to the bar.
I love it.
But yeah, there's like places that let you upgrade your abilities, upgrade your gear, and you find heirlooms when you go through the dungeon. You use those to upgrade your buildings and your settlement to, you know, give you better perks and stuff for using them. It's a pretty deep game.
It sounds
just
like it is.
just from
yeah.
like looking at it, it doesn't look like it would be that in depth, but like once you get into it, there's a lot there. There's like 6 or 7 classes, I think. They all do different things, and yeah.
Ooh, it was on the Vita as well. Interesting. Might have
telling
to
you, it'd be
dust off
perfect
the old
handheld
Vita.
game.
Oh, for sure. I haven't given my Vita love in a very, very, very long time. Just because it's not supported anymore. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I would recommend this highly for sure.
yeah, I'm definitely highly intrigued by it. What's the setting of it? Like what time frame does it take place in?
Well, you travel by stagecoach. So I don't know. It gives off kind of like Beauty and the
1800.
Beast, like time frame kind of deal. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This game and then obviously Timberborn were like the vicariously through you. I enjoyed these games. They're both games that like I want to play, but you've played both enough to where it at least pacified me while I played other things. So I think eventually I want to pick up obviously both of those. I want Timberborn to be on like a real steep sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're I would wait for Darkest Dungeon to go on sale again before getting it.
I'm curious of what it costs on the Switch. I'm gonna look it up.
I think it's, if you get like the complete edition with all the DLC, I think it's like $29 for the game and all of that.
Because that's that's like just been a Breath of the Wild machine for me, essentially. So that's another one that I probably would prefer to play it on the Switch over the Vita, just because it's a bigger screen and
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sure it runs
and if
better.
you didn't want it in handheld, you could always throw it up on the TV then too.
True. Yeah. Very true.
But yeah, excited to try out the sequel, but we'll be waiting on a sale again. I have too many other games that I've accumulated that I need to play now that I'm
It's
no
kind of
longer
a bummer that they
addicted to
changed
League.
up the graphics on it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it still looks very similar. I think it looks a little bit better with the new animations that characters have. It's kind of nice. But yeah, I think that's our top 3 games of 2021 here. So let's move on to Answer the Boys, eh?
Yeah, Answer the Boys, eh?
All right. So, we asked you guys in Discord what top 3 games you played last year were. We had 2 replies. First
I
one
also
from
have
Kaylee.
bios.
Oh, you do? Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. We'll have to throw those up too. So Kaylee Kane from Discord, I believe first time answering the boys. So congratulations. His were Final Fantasy 15, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Final Fantasy 5. I had a bit of a big year for JRPGs.
Yeah.
Good games too.
No lie.
There you go, man. He actually has an, what do they call these? Audio only video game Let's Play podcast. It's called let me look in the Discord here. I can't find it quickly. But I've listened to his podcast, a couple episodes playing Baldur's Gate, which was pretty fun. But thank you, Kaylee Kane, for answering us here in the Discord. And then we have a returning face, one that I spoke of earlier in the episode when Chad was revealing his number 3, and that would be Mel. She says, I am lame. Pretty sure the only game I actually played in 2021 was the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is amazing, and I regret nothing. I did buy Red Dead Redemption 2, but so far I've only played that for maybe 15 minutes. Beautiful game. Can't wait to get back to it now that I have a 4K UHD TV. Which I then was like, well, that's pretty fancy. And she's like, fancy-ish. It's only 43 inches. And I got it on sale. But considering my old TV was a 12-year-old plasma, it's a major upgrade.
Oh,
I
for
would say.
sure. For sure.
Yeah. You enjoy that Red Dead Redemption 2 on your fancy new TV.
Yeah, that's a great game. I'm not going to lie.
I need to get that too.
But yeah, see, you weren't the only one, Chad, with Mass Effect. There we go. But those are our Answer the Boys replies for this week. So thank you, Kaylee and Mel, for throwing your answers up there. We always love reading those replies and talking about them on the show. You want to do bios?
Yeah, I don't have his ranking.
Okay,
So his order, so that'll be a mystery to us. Perhaps he can reveal that someday to us. But Control was on his list.
Okay.
For sure. Understandably enough. Returnal, overlapping there with Chad. That was on his list. And a new entry for us here is Outer Worlds.
Nice. Yeah, I watched him stream that. That's a game I picked up on my Switch and have only played like 5 minutes of.
Oh wow. Is it a Switch game or is it anything?
I would not recommend it on the Switch.
I was gonna say that seems like anything called like Outer Worlds seems like it should be on a large screen.
No. It's like a Fallout-ish style game.
Yeah.
I would not recommend any sort of like shooters, like
no, not at all.
AAA type games on the Switch, unless it's like a Nintendo game, like
Mario
your
Kart.
AAA's, like any Mario game, any Zelda game, Pokemon games. That's part of the reason why I've only played I've probably played like 20 minutes of it, but it's a pretty cool game, and he had a pretty good stream of it, if I do say so myself.
Shout out
BioSiv. Make sure you check out his stuff. You guys got anything else left to say before we jump off here? I think it's pretty fun episode, if I do say so myself.
As always,
just been a kind of a dry year for games for me. Not a whole lot came out this year. It Takes Two won Game of the Year, which is a game I've never even heard of. So that should tell you everything you need to know about the games that came out this year. So
nice.
Sounds more like a movie.
Yeah, it does.
Like a rom-com.
I think it's like maybe a co-op game.
I would hope with a title like that.
A single player RPG. It Takes Two.
Play. I did want to say one last thing before we got off. For some reason, I felt the desire to go back and start rewatching Video Game High School. I don't know what came over me.
We talked about it kind of.
Yeah, we did.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the last time, like all four of us with Bio were on, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that it was like still stuck in the cracks of my brain because I forgot how funny this show is. Like
Yeah,
I've watched the
love it.
first 4 episodes of season 1 and I was like laughing hysterically when I was working over here the other day. I just Nick, have you seen it?
No.
You got to, man. They're
Where do
so
I watch
good.
it?
YouTube. Watch
Okay.
them on YouTube still. It started as a YouTube series. So the first season, maybe even the second and third season, but the first season definitely the episodes are only like 10 minutes long.
Yes,
Ish.
if
So
that, yeah.
you can plow through the first season in probably like one sitting, like 45 minutes or so. It's so good.
It's definitely worth the watch. Yeah,
It really is.
It's a fun concept that they dream up in that series. So
yeah, and then you'll start understanding some of my gifts and stuff that I'm going to be using in Discord.
yeah.
But yeah, so as we wrap up here, we don't have anything really going on this weekend podcast wise. We had the newscast on Monday, so it was a good one. Chad's first time on the newscast went pretty well.
Yeah.
There's some fun stories out there. We ask that if you enjoy what you like, if you enjoy what you heard tonight, hopefully you liked it. But if you could consider subscribing here to the Showboys Podcast YouTube channel, follow us on Twitch and Twitter where we're streaming right now as well. That'd mean a lot to us. If you thought, man, I don't just enjoy this, I love this, you can head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/showboyspodcast, and support us over there. We have plenty of fun rewards ranging from cool stickers and magnets to Patreon exclusive episodes where you can hear Nick and Chad just drool over Ghost of Tsushima. And I think our December Patreon will be Nick and I drooling over Arcane, which we kind of did in our Expanse episode, but we're going to go so hard in the
Let's talk about
Arcane.
the Expanse, but first let's talk about Arcane.
Exactly. That's exactly. What's the Expanse? I don't know, but we got to talk about Arcane for 45 minutes first. But yeah, we have Patreon exclusive Discord channels, whole bunch of fun stuff over there. So check it out. Otherwise, we have game streams going on just about every day and or evening now. Chad's been streaming during the daytime, which has been really cool. You're still working your way through Spider-Man on PlayStation 5?
Yeah, man, I will be back tomorrow morning where we'll continue the story on Spider-Man 5 and work our way to maybe the DLC and Miles at the end. I'm definitely going to play Miles. I'm not sure about the DLC on Spider-Man yet.
Nice. It's been a cool walkthrough stream, very informational over on our Twitch channel. I've been streaming in the evenings on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, I believe. We just finished up Darkest Dungeon, so we're going to get back to our Pokemon Daybreak heavily modified Nuzlocke run that we started. I don't want to get into it. You'll have to come into the stream and learn about why it's been heavily modified. But yeah, other than that, make sure you check out BioSiv. He's been streaming a lot, just beat Returnal. I want to say he's going to go back to Detroit, become human, because he was kind of before Returnal, before he got really into Returnal, he was kind of all over the place. He was streaming a little Detroit, he streamed a little Ghost of Tsushima, he was streaming Returnal. So I think the plan for him is to get back into Detroit, which was really cool. That game is awesome, and I also recently picked that up on sale on Steam because
it's a good stream game awesome. For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, anything else, guys? Are we getting out of here?
Time to go watch The Expanse.
That's right. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you next week. Go watch The Expanse with Nick. Yay. Dudes, so I've had the Thursday night football game on my monitor here, and I am enjoying the Steelers getting their butts kicked.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
So much right now. The Vikings.
Ooh.
Yeah, Nick's de facto favorite team just because of his love for Valheim.
Yeah. Are they from Minnesota?
Yeah,
They are.
Yes. I'm so good at the sports ball.
the
Yeah,
sports
dude.
ball.
Ben Roethlisberger, not so much anymore. I think he's been
Did
sacked
you-
like 8 times this game.
Did you see the Patriots game by chance? Did you see how
Three-
many
2
times
of
they threw
3?
the yeah,
Yeah.
they threw the ball 3 times, only completed 2 of them the entire game and won. That's
It
impressive.
It was like like 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts while it was
Yeah.
like snowing and
Yeah.
But
No
yeah,
brainer
still,
to not throw, but
3 pass attempts.
Yeah.
Insane.
it's crazy.